Hello, my name is Robert Berrio, and I'll tell you about my new book, which is entitled Handbook for Sailing on Other People's Boats Without Breaking the Bank. I wrote this book for people who have never sailed before and would like to take up sailing, and also for those who have done some sailing and are thinking of maybe buying a boat, but don't have enough knowledge to be able to take the plunge. The basis of the book is that you can sail as much as you want forever without ever buying a boat of your own. And this book will tell you how that can be done. It starts with an introduction into sailing that describes a little bit the sailing world and what there is to watch out for if you're buying a boat of your own. It shows how complex it is to select a boat and why you should get a lot of knowledge before you actually embark in that kind of adventure and financial commitment. So in the meantime, you can sail as much as you want without having to buy a boat. So it tells you about the lifestyle, about the how sailing can bring you close to nature, how you can travel. It tells you about the health advantages of sailing, the challenges, the sport of racing, and what you will be learning when you're sailing. Chapter 2 tells you how to get started, what courses are available in Canada, in the US, in Britain, and in Australia. And it gives information about the standards of the different countries. So it gives you a Sail Canada, the American Sailing Association, the Royal Yachting Association, their requirements, and all the list of courses that they provide. There's also a page on online courses. That's especially for those who live far away from large centers who may not have access to sailing schools. So there's a lot that you can learn online. Then we go into sailing even if you don't know how. Even if you haven't taken any courses, it's possible for you to sail, and it's possible to find captains who are looking for crew even who don't have experience. And there's ways of sailing. You could join a charter, for example, where you have to pay a fee, obviously, but these are very good ways of learning how to sail and gaining some useful and fun experience. So those are live aboard holidays, for example. You can also join tall ship. There are tall ships that will teach you how to find the rigging and how to steer. And other types of tall ships would be luxury tall ships that do everything for you, where the crew does everything for you. Chapter 3 tells you how to find a Napi. A Napi is other person's yacht. So it goes into, first explains why there are so many captains looking for crew, and the different ways that you can go about connecting with a captain. You can join a marina, you can put up notices, or you could go on the internet, and it explains how to do a search on the internet. And it gives you examples of matchmaking companies that have as their purpose to help captains who are looking for crew find crew. And of course that would be the inverse is when you as crew are looking for a captain. So it gives you a list of websites that you can go to. Chapter 4 is once you've found a prospective captain online, how to communicate with him, what are the right questions to ask, If you're a woman, what precautions you have to take at the airport, what flight arrangements you can take, how to organize your return ticket and the timing and so forth. What about passports and visas, and what kind of drugs can you take with you? Liability, a trip plan, like you have to let your loved ones know where you're going and so forth and when you're going to be coming back. Travel insurance. What can you expect to pay on an OPI, which is a list here of things that you should pay and should not have to pay. There's also a sample of a letter that the captain might send you to allow you to clear into a country when you don't have a return flight from that country. Chapter 5 tells you what to do when you meet the captain for the first time. This is a person you've never met before, and you're going to entrusting your life into his hands if you're going on a long offshore trip. So what are the things you should be asking? What are the good questions? What are the things you should be asking? And how do you do an inspection of the boat without insulting the captain, and making sure that you're embarking on a safe boat? And it also tells you about some of the things that happen on a boat, the life on a boat, about your personal belongings and health concerns, about alcohol and smoking on a boat, about seasickness, how to avoid it, how to treat it if you have to, about provisioning, about what happens to the waste and the sewage on the boat, things like that. Water, how water is managed. You know that you're limited in the amount of water a boat can take, how all that is managed. How to use the toilet, because it's very different. The one that's on the boat is not like the one you have at home. What about hypothermia? How to avoid hypothermia, that is the cooling of the core of the body. How to recognize a crew member who has it, who's starting to suffer from hypothermia, how to treat it. And likewise with sunstroke, to avoid the opposite, which is overheating of the body, how to recognize that and how to treat that and how to avoid it. The etiquette about boarding somebody else's boat. Sleeping on a boat, who gets to sleep with whom and who gets the best bunks and so forth. The precautions to take when you're swimming and snorkeling, when you're going on a hike, once you're on land, when you stop on land. Precautions to take, sunbathing and so forth. And there's something here about the roles of men and women on a boat. Are they different? You'll find out. If you end up with a captain who yells at you from morning till night, is that normal? You'll find out here in the book. Then there's something about personal safety equipment. What personal safety equipment you should have, as far as footwear and life jackets and harnesses and things like that. The harness, which is very essential to keep you on the boat so you don't fall overboard. How are night watches conducted? What things to watch out for on a boat from the point of view of mechanical or the rigging, that kind of thing. Sailing emergencies, how to avoid them and what to do in case of a sailing emergency. What equipment the boat should have to deal with sailing emergencies. How to prepare for an offshore passage, what precautions you should take. Should you worry about pirates, or should you carry a gun on the boat? These are questions that are answered in the book. And finally, before you actually leave with the captain, if there's any unresolved issues, that they should be resolved before you leave, because once you're out on the open ocean, it's too late. And also how to keep a record of your experience. There's a sample of a log book, of a personal log that you can find in the book that will enable you at some point or other you might need to present somebody with a sailing resume, and your logbook will help you organize that resume. Chapter 6 is once you have gained some experience, there's all kinds of opportunities that will be opening. And this talks about these opportunities. For example, yacht deliveries. A yacht delivery is when the owner of the yacht wants his boat transported over water from one place to another. So there are companies that do this, and they hire crew like you who will to join them. Sometimes there's a fee, sometimes in some cases you could get paid for it. Another way to sail once you have experience is to rent a boat. In the sailing jargon it's called bareboating. That is renting a boat without a captain. So a group of friends can get together and rent a boat. And so there's all the information you need to know about how to organize a charter between friends, how to, there's actually a form that you could fill out that everybody can sign so that you know exactly who's going to be paying for what. There's a section on the catamaran, which has become a very popular type of boat for rental. Bareboating in Europe, what you need to know in order to be able to bareboat in Europe, which is a lot more strict than in North America. And here you also have a sample of a sailing resume, the types of the kinds of information that you should be putting on a sailing resume. Then there's ways of being paid for sailing. For example, there are rich people who own a boat who need crew to operate the boat, and so there are companies that offer jobs as crew. So this is one way. Another way is to become a teacher. You can become a sailing instructor and get paid for sailing. And different other ways like boat sharing, on and off work, working from your boat and earning money, rental property, co-ownership. So there's various ways of sailing without having to buy a boat for little money, or at least for a reasonable price. Then the next chapter is a checklist of what to pack when you're going on a sailing adventure. So all the personal items, so these are lists that you can work from to make your own personal list depending on the type of body of water you're going to be sailing on and the length of time you'll be away. Chapter 8 is lists for successful bareboating. What things you should be checking on the boat before you leave the rented boat, before you leave the dock with it. So, for example, you should be checking the engine compartment, the electrical, the navigation equipment, and so forth. All kinds of things you have to check. So there's several pages of information on that subject. Chapter 9 deals with people who have gives you examples of people who have done this before. Chapter 10 goes into the environmental advantages of sailing. We know that humans are causing a lot of environmental damage, but sailing, especially sailing with other people's boats, without buying a boat of your own, is a huge environmental advantage. We talk about that. So that's about it. The book will be available as of September 2016 in all the world's best bookstores and Amazon, and my website, which is www.sailorwithoutabboat.com. So I hope I'll hear from you. Bye-bye.